Okay, everybody, it's Saturday morning after our class yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was clear about the kind of presentation I was hoping, I am still hoping to see from you guys. And this is not terribly difficult, I don't think, except, maybe it's me and my cursive knowledge type of thing. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little rundown. I gave you one about storytelling, which was very minor, and I didn't have my cello with me. So today I'm going to do one about imagery in music and using images to bring students and ourselves closer to the music, okay? And make us play more musically. So this is going to involve a few different pieces, and I'll just give you a little mini selection of things, okay? So here we go. Happy Farmer is one of the cute little pieces that's in, I don't know, I can't remember, Suzuki Book 2, I think it is. You can actually play the piece for a student and ask them what kind of piece it is, and whether, and this is the very simplest happy sad thing, that sort of thing. And of course you have don't bum 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 bum, right? So you can actually do the accompaniment with them. You don't even have to reveal the name of the piece to the student yet, although they might know. But the imagery of a farmer just doing a little jig is probably what Schumann had in mind, and certainly I think what easily comes to mind. If the student came up with something else, though, another image for what was going on, bunnies hopping or whatever, that's not wrong. It would just be another way of interpreting it, and you could also just show them, well, that Schumann was envisioning a happy farmer. Okay, so there's one idea. Okay, here's another idea. This is a real classic piece that most kids don't necessarily learn on the cello. And I'm going to show you my image for this. Well, actually, before I show you the image, I'm going to show you, so here's the piece. Okay, everybody knows it's Somewhere Over the Rainbow, right? So there's the image. Now, the notes are themselves, it just starts with an octave, right? And then it has a, what is that, major six, and then a minor six, right? When this piece was written, where did those notes come from? Well, I believe it's the image of the rainbow, right? If you have a rainbow and you play those intervals or sing those intervals as though you're playing rainbows, right? Right, here's another rainbow. You could talk about how transparent but colorful. Keep making mistakes, sorry. Have more transparent sound because this wouldn't sound very good if it was with a dense sound, right? So here's the image of the rainbow is basically built into the piece the way it was written. All right, beautiful. And I should know the name of the composer, and I can't remember. I'll have to add that later. Okay, anyway, so now one of the, let's see. Now we had two pieces that actually have the imagery in the title, but the images that we use don't have to be embedded. You can have a piece like Bach, and I'm going to show you a way to think about Bach with an image, if I can find it. Okay, here. So I have a rubber band here, and if while you're listening to this, you can find a rubber band, or just imagine using a rubber band, and of course when it's slack, it's just comfortable, and when it pulls, you can feel the tension in it. Okay, so when I'm showing you a few lines out of the first Bach suite, I want you to imagine or take that rubber band and stretch it, okay? So, because I can't stretch and play at the same time. All right, so obviously the opening. And and it steps up, and then it steps up again, right? And then it relaxes because it goes back to tonic. Okay, so we have, oh gosh, I didn't do my cello. And then, which has a little more tension. That has a lot of tension in it, right? And then it relaxes back to the octave, but that's the point of the most tension, right? And it's pretty impressive that Bach would write that in immediately at the very beginning. There's other places that he uses tension and release, so I'm going to skip over a couple things, but I'm talking about this rubber band feeling a stretch. So there's a kind of it's a pretty intense, but it's a fairly minor one compared to some of these other ones. You know, the end of the first section of it. And then he has, oh sorry. That measure all the way to here with a C natural and a C sharp. He's really stretching the boundaries of what's going on here, right? Okay, so there's another place. Now, right towards the end of the piece, he has that little. Okay, now if he was a lesser composer, he probably would have. Oops, sorry. No, now I'm playing the piece. And that would have been fine, and we would have had a few moments of tension in there, but he used that rubber band. Now you could really feel it pulling. You really want this resolution to the top, okay? So that really stretches the boundaries of what he's trying to do, right? And that's part of the genius of Bach, is the way he stretches boundaries and really makes us feel where we're going. There's other very cool things about that first Bach suite and even the prelude that are just utter genius, but I'm not going to get into everything. Okay, so there's the rubber band image of doing that. Now the tour de force of imagery is in Saint-Saëns, the Swan. And knowing the backstory of the Saint-Saëns is a great, of the Carnival of the Animals, is a great thing. Your students don't necessarily need to know that, but what they do need to know is when Saint-Saëns wrote the Swan, why did he choose the cello? Okay, so we look at the cello. Why did he choose the cello? Come on, you can answer, right? Okay. I'm hoping you're thinking in your own head before I answer it for you. Okay? Big body, right? Long neck, and of course we are known for our natural elegance, of course. My striped sweater and slippers on. Anyway, but the idea is that it's the body and the neck of the instrument really kind of sort of the same size as a swan. Okay, so that's one big one. And if you're thinking of the neck of the swan, that this is the neck, this is actually a good way for even technical issues, because if students are grabbing on too tight, you're going to have a hard time with it. Have a real hard shift rather than a nice silky shift like the silky feathers of the swan. So you want students to actually envision this beautiful swan and this gentle thing. You can also have them envision the things that aren't visible, because most of the time, the swan is gliding across the water, and of course I don't know anybody who doesn't think that the accompaniment part is the water that the swan is floating on. But I've got more to say about that in a minute. Anyway, but the parts of the swan that are above water is, of course, the body and the neck and the head. What's below the water, obviously, the swan's feet. So when he's gliding across the thing, it's not that there's nothing happening. He doesn't have some, motorized thing. His paws, whatever they are moving towards the flippers, whatever, are propelling him forward. So you can use that image for having subdivisions going on in your head that'll help the phrasing. You could have it as any kind of the subdivision thing for keeping the flow of the piece going, and it can be ebb and flow too, because the swan's not always going to swim at the same speed. Okay, you get the idea. Anyway. What's cool about this piece, and this is the last thing I'm going to show you, is that when he wrote Carnival of the Animals, he embedded a whole bunch of clever things in his composition. And one of the most clever things I stumbled upon when I was trying to figure out some questions about why this, why the other thing for the swan. And the thing that I discovered is that, well, I'll show you the, oh gosh, darn it, I left one out. Okay. So what I discovered is when I was doing this is I was thinking about why did he write, like, let's just talk the accompaniment. Why did the accompaniment goes yada dee da yada dee da yada dee da? Why didn't it go yada dee da yada da dee or yada da da dee da 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 da? Right? Well, when I started doing this with my hand, I started realizing he's going yada dee da la da dee da, like little waves on the shore. Okay, so I actually did a little version of this. I don't know how well you can see that, but if you take a pen, and let's see if I can do this so you can see what I'm doing. But if you take a pen and you you fill in the little waves of the water, you can actually see that that's really supposed to be little waves. And I didn't do it very dark because I can't do it very well that way. All right, so there. Now you can kind of see the waves. So then I asked myself, well, where did he come up with? Why did he use those notes for the top line, the melody line? And if you start singing it and you go ta, I've got pink pen, so it'll be da dee ya da da ya dee da da. That's not a beautiful swan, but that's sure a swan-shaped line, yeah? And then there's the tail, feathers, right? Pretty amazing, huh? I'm sure he was thinking about that. He was too smart not to. I'm not the only smart person in the room. Anyway, actually I was going to show you one other thing, so why not, since this is not utter performance. This is just stuff that I wanted to, you know, the Lily Gavat, that was the one I was going to do to follow the Happy Farmer. Here's the Lily Gavat is. Right? Okay, so if the students actually know who Lily is, I trust you know from your music history classes, that he was actually considered one of the first conductors. And back then, conductors didn't have batons, they had sticks. And so I just happen to have this hiking stick of my son's. So if you had anything that you could use to show a student that Lily, when he was, if you can imagine him conducting this piece, it would be yum dum ba ya da dim bum ba di da di ya da di ya da di da da dum bum bum. Right? So it would give them one more way of connecting. That would be a historical connection with an image of a stick. Okay, so there's just so many different ways, and I just want you guys to be as creative as you possibly can. Use pictures, use printouts, use sticks, use rubber bands. Think about what's going on with the piece and stay on topic. Don't pick like phrasing and then veer off and talk about tone. You know, when you're talking about tone, you can play a beautiful phrase with a nasty tone. Okay, it's not going to sound beautiful, but it's still not, that doesn't make it bad phrasing, okay? So think about that. Stay on topic while you're making your lesson plans for this, okay? All right, that went on a little bit longer than I intended it to, but hopefully you got the idea what kind of presentation that I'm hoping you'll do. And if you bring something that we can actually interact with you on, all the better. Okay, hope that helps. Bye.